So, are certain races better at certain skills? This is a 5-minute timer. What do you think?
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
Well, for example, there's 1.4 billion East Asian people in the world. 1.4, just think about that.
Yeah, there's only 7.5 billion people, so
Right.
that's a significant.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the diaspora included. So
Right.
the people in East Asia, India to be specific, and the rest outside the world. Now you think about 1.4 billion people, and you can't form a soccer team. There's no Indian soccer team.
This was a curveball to me. I don't think I've watched literally 15 seconds of a soccer game in my entire life. And this guy is telling me that there's no soccer team in India. I found that I just literally do not know enough about soccer. I mean, I know it's a game where people kick balls around, but that's literally like all I know. But I did find it hard to believe that there's no Indian soccer team. And my first inclination was to pull out my phone and Google, is there an Indian soccer team? But that's not helpful and it's not productive and it doesn't lead to a good conversation. So I was very curious about where this was leading, given the original question about are certain races better at certain things.
He plays international
I didn't know
football.
that. I know nothing about sports.
Well, I'm just-
but I'll believe you.
Right.
So I accepted the claim by fiat. I just accepted that there is no Indian soccer team.
Well, it comes back to this question that you have here, right?
Are certain races better at certain skills?
Right. So
Yeah. So
now
Yeah.
you think about the Caribbean islands,
Yeah.
Trinidad and Tobago, for example. There's 1.5 million people in those two islands. Multitude of soccer players.
but that
Right.
could be cultural. Like there's
No,
no,
no.
cricket players over there either, though.
I actually didn't know if there was no cricket players. I just found something that I thought, well, Australia and Pakistan, and I mean, I literally have never seen a cricket game. I know nothing about cricket, but I figured, well, maybe I could show that certain sports were more popular in certain cultures, so there wasn't a biological explanation for that. There could be a cultural explanation. But again, I'm way, way out of my depth here.
No, there's no Indian players neither. All I'm saying is that certain people are not designed physically. It has nothing to do with mental capacity. It has to do with just physical traits. And,
Okay. So let me make sure I
so
understand.
that skill that we're talking about,
Yeah.
we're talking about sporting skill,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about any other
cognitive
skill.
stuff. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Right.
So let me make sure I understand.
So again, the idea that comes back over and over again. Let me make sure I understand. Put the burden of understanding on yourself. Repeat back the question. That is just fundamental. You simply cannot proceed unless you've done that. It also prevents you from delivering a message if you do that. And it enables you to focus more on somebody's epistemology all at the same time.
my initial thought was that it was cultural. So, for example, there's no cricket in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, I
Not
don't know
cricket.
if there is.
No, not cricket. Soccer.
I know, but I'm saying there's no cricket over there.
Of course, there's cricket.
Oh, there is cricket. Okay.
The
Well,
Caribbean islands are noted for playing cricket.
okay.
And
Well,
that's the only
again,
Go ahead.
I'm brandishing my credentials of how little I know about sports.
It's an odd credential to brandish, but okay. And I think the other reason I did that is that it would place him in a position of authority, in which this case, literally anybody would have been more of an authority on this than me.
But the idea is that there's certain, like in the United States, soccer isn't as popular. I was thinking that it could be cultural. Hear me out here. But if the idea is that certain people are from certain regions are built certain ways, and that's what attracts them to the sport, that I can understand. Is that right?
No, it's not what attracts them to the sport. It's what they're physically capable of doing.
That's a remarkable claim, what they're physically capable of. I'm not sure it's true or untrue, but it's a very specific claim that in order to refute or rebut that, you would need domain-specific expertise, which I absolutely do not have. So I then switch the conversation, as is in the book, to a listen and learn mode, and also to focus on epistemology. So it could either be the case that this guy is correct and I would have gotten a good lesson, or it could be the case that I could understand his epistemology.
But Indians are physically capable of doing so.
Not playing soccer.
Really?
I'm
What?
telling you.
Well, it's the first I've heard of it. Why?
Okay, so that was news to me. I never heard anything like that. And I just couldn't understand. It seemed bizarre to me. But again, I don't know the first thing about, literally nothing about. I couldn't name a single soccer team. I don't even know the name of a soccer team in Portland. I don't even know if we have a soccer team in Portland. So this guy is telling me this, and I'm thinking, I am admittedly incredulous, particularly when the whole country, and I see all these things. So anyway, it was a very unusual, if not bizarre, claim.
Well, simply stated, just don't have the stamina enough to play soccer.
Okay, so Indians don't have the stamina enough to play soccer. I just find that hard to believe. So the thing would be, what other sports do they have that require stamina? And then if they had those things, then the fact that they didn't have soccer would be a cultural phenomenon. Although they were, had English, you got to be careful for the words here, occupation or colonization, however you want to phrase it, that they were heavily influenced by the English. And so I kind of found it bizarre that they didn't have soccer, but yet without appealing to outsourcing, epistemic outsourcing, I think we call it in the book, outsourcing, we wouldn't know that, but we were in a conversation, so I couldn't get that. So at this time, I needed to drill down a little bit more on this, and then I was just going to take a lesson and listen to what this guy had to say and really understand it. And the moment he left, I pulled out my phone to see if it was correct.
So at the end of the day, you think of it.
Okay.
There's 1.5 billion Indians.
Yeah.
You look at La Liga, you look at the UFA, the European Football League, you never see.
I had never heard of either of those two things, further complicating my situation.
Never,
Indian.
ever. You might see people from Egypt,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
They're not Indian.
And I remember seeing something on the news about something from some Egyptian soccer guy.
And that's the closest.
Well, I have to say, I've learned something.
So at this point, I'm just accepting everything he has by fiat until I can evaluate it subsequent to the conversation, but it was not appropriate in the conversation. Well, appropriate's a bullshit word, but it was not, I did not want to pull out my phone in the conversation and check, and then we would have been haggling or debating over facts, which there is simply no point to do that almost ever in a conversation unless I'm asked. So at this point, I switched it almost entirely to epistemology and was solely interested in the claim. And I really was looking at like, wow, if this is true, this is really rather remarkable, and I am for sure going to use this in a future conversation. Like if this is actually the case, this is groundbreaking that I haven't heard of it, and rest assured that this will come up in my future conversations. So that was pretty much the end of the conversation right there for me. It was interesting. Subsequently, rather than tell you what I learned, I'll leave you to Google it and find out the answer yourself. Is there no Indian soccer team? Are there no Indians who play soccer? And is it because of stamina? The question is is it because of stamina is irrelevant if there are Indians who play soccer and Indians a soccer team, particularly the claim that 1.5 billion people from India, there's literally no soccer players, is a truly remarkable claim, if for no other reason that someone might have been interested in played and maybe they're terrible because they don't have stamina, but it's still a remarkable claim. I'll let you Google that yourself.
I had no idea before I
Pull
sat
it up
down
on your
here.
phone.
No,
Are
I
they-
want to talk to you. I don't look at my phone,
Right.
but I had no idea that this was the case. But I promise you, I will look to see if there are
The
Indian
only
soccer.
sports Indian excel at is badminton,
Yeah.
all right, and cricket. They have a national team.
And neither of those are stamina sports.
No, those are team sports. Badminton is a stamina sport, but not as intensive as lawn tennis. Right.
That's
So
fascinating to me.
when
never
I
knew
make that comment to people that I meet, and it comes out as a joke, but in reality, that's the reality of
Yeah.
it. For some strange reason, man. for
And it's
some
not
strange reason.
explainable by culture, because
it's-
you said there's, after
they love soccer.
diaspora, there would be some Indians who would play soccer.
I'm from the Caribbean,
Yeah,
so I can speak for both places.
Yeah.
And in the Caribbean, out of 1.5 million people,
yeah.
all the soccer teams, there's not one Indian player.
And how many Indians are there over there?
We constitute 50% of the population.
And there's
kind
not
of
a single
one.
soccer player. That is astonishing to
Well,
me.
I'm telling
I
you.
learned. I honestly, sincerely did not know
Yeah.
that. So I can truly say, within 5 minutes, you legitimately taught me something I didn't know.
you
I'm
go.
very appreciative. Thank you.
All right.
Very much enjoyed that.
All right, take
Great.
care.
Well,